Welcome to video number 2. In this video, I'm going to show you how I apply deadening, also known as constrained layer damping. Now, these products are from Resonix, so you're going to watch me do the inside of the passenger door. Now, to keep these videos short, I'll have subsequent videos that are going to do Guardian, which is sound absorption in the door. Then I'll deaden the front face, then I'll apply Resonix barrier, and then I'm going to do the door panels and door cards. I'm going to do the speakers. It's going to take several videos in order to keep these things around 15 minutes or less. So bear with me. Some photos that I'm showing are of the car itself, a 2023 SS Camaro. Welcome. So we're going to go over how we treat a car door. We know that car doors are resonant, right? And if we just take this silly plastic adapter, that sounds terrible. So we're going to take what is a terrible environment for a sound system and make it an incredible one. We're going to do that in a couple of ways. First, we're going to be using Resonix CLD. Constrained layer damping. This is where the aluminum itself is the constraining layer, and the damping, not dampening, I'm not getting it wet, I'll say that in every video. The damping happens because the butyl is elastomeric and viscoelastic. So it doesn't ever harden, it always stays kind of sticky. And it allows some movement, but it's constrained by this. So that's CLD. Additionally, we need a noise barrier and sound absorption within these doors. You all see in my videos on fiberglass inside doors where I take fiberglass bats or fiberglass panels and wrap them in plastic, cover the door fold. Well, Resonix has Guardian, and this essentially is a multi-layer product with adhesive that's really good, melamine to decouple mass-loaded vinyl to block and to act as a mid-bass absorber. Then we have 1 inch of melamine foam for acoustic absorber, and then we got a facing that works acoustically in a couple different ways. It also provides some physical protection, scrapes and things like that don't tear the foam. So, step 1 though, cleaning. So this car came with a piece of deadener, if you want to call it that. The fact that I can tear this off with minimal effort kind of goes to show you how ineffective it will be. So you shouldn't be able to do that, and you cannot do that with this. Next, I have a diluted amount of car wash soap inside a spray bottle with some water, and all I'm going to do is just spray all these surfaces, take some clean rags, and just kind of wipe it down. We do not expect anything that's adhesive to stick to a surface that is oily. So this is the process and step that I'm going to do first is clean. And I'm going to clean everywhere I plan to adhere anything, and that's everything inside and this whole surface. So I'm going to clean, and I'll hit you up when I get done. So now that we have a clean door, the next step is to start cutting pieces. Now we want the largest pieces we could possibly manage. So that means we need to take some measurements. We need to figure out how big of a sheet we can fit at any point in time. Ideally, we're working in maybe half sheets, maybe thirds. It kind of depends on, the length. 1 dimension is great. 2 dimensions is fantastic. If you can do a whole piece, by all means. And what that is going to require of us are some templates. So that means something like this that had been used previously. On the other side, I used the paper isolation, like every layer of the Resonix CLD has a piece of paper so they don't stick to each other. Well, you can use that to place a template because it's the same size as the piece of paper. It's easy to press in, you can see where stuff is. So I know that I can get a piece here that's going to be, mostly contiguous. And you can't cut circles with really well, so you just cut squares, it's fine. Now, sometimes you're going to have these little clips that you may or may not want to move. Kind of depends on, are they getting in your way or not? So I start typically inside of the door and then work my way to the face. So again, we're going to take some measurements here, and it looks like I can fit about a 6-inch piece. This is 12 by 12. So we'll just cut this sucker in half. Now, what I have here is a box, right? Just some way that I can kind of realistically get it up off the floor. I don't want this blade going into concrete, right? Some safety tips when you're cutting: don't have your thumb out. Tuck your thumb in at all points in time. Don't cut like this where I'm gonna hit my leg, you know. I don't have to be exact, that's not an exact cut. Now, what I tend to do is fold it, and then it's a little bit easier process to get through. I say easier as I get through it, but anyway, then take your piece, figure out how far you think you can get it in there. I think I can get that piece all the way back there. Now the challenge is, once it's sticky, you're gonna have a really hard time sliding it around. So do you think you can get it in? This gives you an opportunity to kind of play with it. Now you have two options. You can either pre-peel the whole thing, or peel part of it and just kind of work this layer back as you go in. Again, it depends on the piece. So what I'm gonna try and do is, I'm gonna start with this, reach my hand in, and then I'm going to kind of work that back off. There's that. There. Now that piece, my fingers are all the way to here, right? I have one large piece that's along that whole length. Now the next step is to press it in place. And for that, we got a couple tools. A block like this that's rounded. I've been using this for any of the hard to reach places. Obviously a roller is fantastic. Now you gotta watch your knuckles, right? Like if I hit my hand on this and it's sharp, I'm gonna cut myself. So I gotta be careful about how I'm working this material. And there's gonna be stuff in your way. There's gonna be wires and cables. You gotta be careful about how you actually manage and work inside the store. And is it going to be annoying? Yeah, it is. It's actually gonna be really annoying. It would have been great if the manufacturer decided this was important. They didn't. Because they honestly would have driven up the cost of the car. If you want a car that has this done already, then you're gonna pay a lot more money. So the next piece looks like we gotta, honestly, it's just gonna kind of sit right there. It's gonna go where the next one was, and then we're gonna do a piece here, we'll do a piece here, we're just gonna work our way around. Pretty straightforward. That's a nice open spot, I can get to it. So there I can just kind of peel this paper off with one sheet. Try to keep my fingers off of it. Gotta be careful, you don't want to gouge it too much. So we're going to simply keep going through this process. Now I have some of the cutouts from the other side that I had done. They may or may not be useful. Like when I'm trying to do large pieces. Inside here, you're fitting whatever you can. We talked about that, like when I go to place this, I'm gonna try and do one whole piece and then just template around it, figure out all my cuts. Ideally, I'm gonna have to take a piece here. These holes, we're gonna cover up separately. So that's the process. And you can watch the whole thing, but honestly, it's kind of boring. I will show you a couple more ways that I deal with undulations, right? Like, cause I have this W-shaped brace in the center, and I wanna make sure that this is treated because it's kind of like metal that sticks out, has a good opportunity to resonate. So I definitely want a piece on there, and I'm gonna have to run lengthwise. So there I want to cut a couple different pieces that are a couple different dimensions so I can conform it. So let's say if I had pieces that were, I don't know, roughly maybe 4 inches. Basically takes this panel and puts it into thirds. Now, if you want, you can use a variety of straight edges, we really just kind of want to have an idea of where we're going to make our cuts. Right? And if you find that your box knife is starting to betray you, then simply replace your blade. All right. Now I want to get this piece in here on this, and I want to conform it all the way around. So it's going to fight me a little bit. It's going to be weird. We don't want air bubbles, right? So you don't want gaps. This does not work if it's in midair. So it has to be against that rigid surface. And we can get that to bend around. So now we have to work that in. And that's where this block kind of comes in handy, because the roller is limited in dimensions. Like I could roll the face of this, but it'd be difficult to roll the back of that. But I need to make sure that this is fully adhered all the way down. And it has a little bit of give to it. But yeah, so now this is sufficiently treated on the top side, and we're gonna do the bottom side, and that's where this is gonna come in play. It gets weird as you kind of reach in. You could watch me struggle, but you'll get to see the end result here in a bit.
And here's a little preview of where we end up with these doors deadened and sealed. So tune in to the next video and enjoy. Thanks for watching.